I just showed them my QuickBooks account. That's why they were wowed. So my emphasis on numbers is real, and ask me anything you want and I will tell you everything, just to be non-hypocritical about that. So Denise is she has reached the pinnacle of what I hope to achieve. I am a mom and pop small newspaper located in the Catskill Mountains. We cover a giant region, so we're a hyperlocal that covers a very large 5,500, I don't remember, very large region, 5 counties. And we grossed 50K last year. We're on track to gross 80 this year. We are a mom and mom. We're actually gay. We're married. We have a 4-year-old daughter. And our region is very conservative, and they love us. There's absolutely no friction with our personal lives and our professional work in the community, which has always wowed me. So some personal details. But the thing I want to impress upon you is that we are essentially sharecroppers, except in news, not farming. That's really what the money is. It's very, very subsistence level. I've just this year gave myself a $20,000 a year salary, and I'm very excited about it. And my wife also, she's the editor, I'm the publisher, gets 20 grand this year. For 2 years, we didn't make anything. For a year after that, we gave ourselves 12,000 last year. And to be totally candid about our numbers, the first year I sold 19 grand in 2010 without trying at all, which was the reason why we kept with it. Because we were both then editor and editor. We're both ex-news reporters. We both care a lot about news and wanted, somehow if we held out our flag, we'd make money. And we did, but not enough. So 2011 we made, 2011 we made 20K. Excuse me, 2010 we made like nothing. 2011 we made 20K. 2012 we made 50. And we also got a grant. We are one of those for-profit news organizations that has benefited from the largesse of the nonprofit organization, in this case, the Ford Foundation through the International Women's Media Foundation. They gave us 20 grand in 2011 for a project that ended up not working. So I'm very grateful to them. But our goal has always been to survive, which is actually really misguided. And when I'm in the room with people from the All, or from TPM, I think, yeah, why the hell am I just focusing on like eking out a living here? Because you can indeed, in fact, really do well in this space. Like Denise, like Riverhead Local, we have a site that is entirely sponsored ads. There's no CPM. I couldn't even tell you what our CPM would be. None of my advertisers know what it is, and they wouldn't be able to explain it if you said, here, this is what this is a good deal. They would be completely confused by it. So we don't have that many ads, but they cost $200 a month, the big ones. The small ones, of which there's one way down here, cost $100 a month. And they're not anywhere near the bulk of what we're making. I wanted to just show you the site, but the real money here is actually the money. So this is this year so far. We've sold 17 grand in ads, as you'll notice right away. I took a whole bunch of discounts out because that's how you sweeten the pie. And that's not very much, but it's much better than it was last year at this time for us. It's almost, until this, I made this document, it was mostly online ads, but I've actually broken down what the ads cost and what they are. Sorry, this is straight from my QuickBooks account, so some of it's a little fuzzy, but our biggest seller is our just big, fat, square $200 a month ad. But this March, I did something really crazy and new. I sold print. I made a print product. And I told my community that if they wanted it to happen, they had to help me raise $15,000 in ads in a month to do it. And I sold $19,000 in ads for that print product last month. It shocked me. I didn't really want to do it. That's actually, the long story about how that worked is I'm on the board of a local chamber of commerce. We did this last year at a loss because they really wanted a local outdoors guide. And this year when they came to me again, I said, we took a loss on that. I can't do that again. I love you guys, but I can't. No, maybe if we hit 15 grand in sales, we'd publish it. And they started selling for me. The whole board of the chamber started spreading the word, and all of these businesses who never advertise with me online threw money at me for print ads, which I priced extremely high. This is a print run of 5,000, right? Nothing. That is nothing. Nothing. A full page ad costs $8.39. The back cover costs $1,200, but I gave the back cover advertiser a real discount. But that alone basically paid for my salary this year. So I want to point that out as something that maybe print might be a good thing to try. We were shocked at how it worked. Of course, now we have to do it, which is not, I have been losing sleep for the past 3 weeks going, holy shit, I have 60 ads to design. It's just me. I just design the ads. 60! I had to hire a graphic designer like 2 nights ago at 3 a.m. You know, so mom and mom, subsistence agriculture, yes, that is what we were doing. But the upside of that is that we are deeply beloved by our community because we have a local connection. My wife grew up in the Catskills. We live in the town that her grandmother owned the telephone company in. And us moving back with our kid and putting our kid in the school system is such a vote of confidence in this extremely economically depressed, dying region that there's a lot of love for us, and that's where some of the ads are coming from, especially the print ones, because all my advertisers are used to print. They're used to it. They every month, I give the newspaper my print ad every week. And for us, online ads, we have the same problem. Our online advertisers never change the ads. They don't understand it. They don't know how to, they'll give me this, right? This is a hideous ad. Hideous, ugly, right? And then they'll leave it up. That one left up for like 6 months. I was like, this isn't working. No one's clicking on it. And it's hideous. Can we please change it? Please let me change it. No, I like it that way. So this is our rate sheet. It's one thing worth pointing out is our sponsored stories, which we sell. The way they work, they're actually just blog posts with the business name on them, and they're marked as sponsored. This is a picture of one that I posted this morning at 6 a.m. From a local roofing company that you'll see it's by Alpine Roofing, and the URL at the top says sponsored. We clearly need to make this more obviously advertising since a lot of our customers and readers think they're stories that we write. We have no intention of doing that. We thought it was really obvious that they weren't stories. Google keeps indexing them as stories. It's kind of sucky. One other thing I do is trainings. This is me on Monday of this week doing a little business training about how to use Facebook for a bunch of local businesses. It's really actually just a lost leader to get people to advertise with me. It works really well. Because if I show up and I'm really smiley and say, here, this is how you use Facebook, you know that @ symbol, it'll make a link, people will love you forever, and then they'll buy ads with me. And that's how this works. There's a lot of happiness with teaching local businesses how to do it. So I'm being a little disjointed, but I love what we do, but it's hanging on. It really is. The sponsored stuff I want to point out is $25 each, right? A month. We charge $25 a month for a sponsored story, the ability to blog on our site, which is so cheap, too cheap, way too cheap. Huge, huge, huge problem. As I mentioned, these ads start at $129, right? Don't underprice yourself when you're starting a publication. I wish we had priced our sponsored stories more, especially since they're kind of jeopardizing our integrity as a news organization. Right? Yeah, no, well, and if anyone has questions about sponsored stories, I'm happy to answer them, because when the Atlantic scandal with the Scientology article came out last month, both of us went, oh crap, right, this is how it can go wrong. We've never had anyone with any sort of agenda use a sponsored story except for a local do-gooder clean air organization. And they did have an agenda. It made us uncomfortable every time they posted hey, we're having an event, clean up, no fracking, we hate fracking. It would make us sort of queasy. And especially for $25 a month. So there are issues with the sponsored stuff. I'm sort of shocked that large organizations can blithely say display advertising is dead and there's native content is the way to go, because clearly display advertising isn't dead for small local organizations. It really can gross a couple $100,000 a year if you do your job right. So why sell your soul for a really small amount of money? Clearly these big guys aren't. They're selling their souls for much larger amounts of money. But we got to be careful. We really got to be careful. As it's somebody who's turned into a publisher from journalism, every day I think, oh crap, I've lost it this time. I don't have it anymore. I've lost any integrity I used to have. Now I'm just focused on selling and convincing my wife to write this story about this advertiser. That's what I'm doing today. I love the business, I love the making money, and I love the community embrace of what we do. That was the real shock, was having this community say, we love what you do and we want you to do this. We're going to develop sponsorship, membership program. We just haven't gotten around to it yet because I'm processing ads in my sleep all the time. But I think our community will indeed throw money at us because they like us and not because our ads work. And I need to test that hypothesis. So we're small, but yeah, the other thing that's worth mentioning is nobody ever talks about kids at these kinds of things. No, kids are just completely non-evident in the media world, right? We did this, we quit our jobs in Boston from two media outlets in Boston because we wanted to work from home and be with our kid. And the money we make is nothing, but it allows us to live in this very cheap place, in this house that is rented really cheaply. We see our kid all the time. We have no commute. It's actually a pretty nice life. The quality of life that we have on this $40,000 combined year salary is so much better than the life I had in Boston when I was making 45, and I never saw my family. So there's a certain romantic vision of starting your own media outlet that really is what's sustaining us at this point. But if I do my job right, I'll make at least 100 grand this year, and that's also going to sustain us. So I'm not going to belabor you with my tips because they're pretty obvious and they're in the handout. But I'm curious about questions. What do people want to know about the money specifically? Because I would like to talk about money.
Maybe we can share the mic. Our mics are better. They're dying. You guys are working the mics.
Sorry, Jennifer DeSeo again with the Hyperlocus. You said don't undervalue your ad potential. How do you then come up with a fair value? You know, how do you ask your advertisers, or what do you think?
No.
So yes, how do you work it out?
I would welcome other people's advice about that. I just should have priced them really high and discounted them. That has served me well. Because if you can always discount, but if you start jacking rates, people start looking at you sideways, especially if you live in the community and they know that you charge 25 for something and I'm charging 75 for. And it doesn't work any better. That's the thing. I'm really obsessed with, did the ad work? Did it work for you? And my advertisers usually say, oh gosh, maybe one person said they saw it on the internet. So pricing it, I mean 300, right? Like I literally, that's where I price. When I listen to how Denise priced her ads, I'm gonna do the same thing. Like, okay, baseline is 300 now. That's it. There really isn't a lot of sharing of information out there. I want to be no cheaper than the print publications I compete with, and I'm not. I'm about commensurate with them. And if I can be more expensive and I give people discounts, I do that too. But it's just completely pulling numbers out of thin air, basically. So price them high.
So in your selling your soul problem, too cheap problem,
Yes.
is it possible for you to grandfather, or should I say grandmother, those advertisers that have gotten you at that cheap rate, and not pump, but then just charge new people a new rate?
I think so. I really have quailed from doing that because I don't want to be obviously changing the rates until I do it all at once. So I've actually been working on a new rate sheet for like 6 months now. I found it much more efficient to make new products and price them differently and then leave the old stuff just hanging out there. So that's, again, why I'm so consumed with this print product, because I priced it high. It's paying for itself and then some. It's actually going to give us money. And why not do that? And so maybe when we redesign the site, we're hoping to make interstitial ads in a 2-column format that's more mobile friendly. And when I roll those ads out, maybe I'll just charge 300 baseline for each.
Just reintroduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Nadia Zonas. I'm curious about what you said about the fact that you're in an economically depressed area, and it sounds like maybe that's actually a positive for you in the sense that there's less competition. Can you just maybe talk a little bit more about that? It's really interesting.
Sure, yeah. We the Catskills median income is, I think, 35 for a family. And so there is somebody showing up and living there and starting a new cool online business doesn't happen. Just doesn't. It's a very rural, very farm agricultural area, so young people tend to avoid it. It's got 60% of the population is over the age of 55. So that is part of its poverty. It is a largely elderly, dying population. The hospice business is way big, and I really should hit them up for advertising, come to think of it. So that has indeed been a strength because we are from the city. I went to Harvard, and that does help. coming to this place and saying, yeah, I have this nice degree, and I'm here because I don't want to be there. I want to be with you, because you matter. Gold. And that's, you don't, whether you monetize that through ads or through something else. I mean, we've had several successes with flood coverage. We've had 2 nasty floods in the Catskills, and we collated the information in real time. And people will not stop thanking me for it. I mean, it's been like 3 years now. And people who never would advertise, business owners who just hate advertising or whatever, threw money at us through a donation button I put up during the second flood out of love. I mean, it's love, and that's why it's sustaining as well. It's clearly a palpable feeling of being in a community that loves you, and I know that Riverhead Local has the same thing. And that's the stuff you can't buy, and that's why it's worth it. That's why we're still doing it.
Others? Other questions? Great. Oh, was there? Oh, sorry.
It's not a money question. I'm kind of curious what your traffic is compared to the population coverage area.
Our traffic is 25 to 30K a month, which is nothing.
25, 30
Thousand
units.
uniques, yeah.
Okay.
And our region has a population, I think, of 300, 400,000, depending. There's a huge second homer population in the city. And our traffic is about 30% from Manhattan, which is great. And that's a stat that my advertisers do listen to and do say, oh, I want to reach the second homeowners. So it fluctuates during floods and other disaster events. We hit, 80,000, 90,000 uniques a month.
Was there a certain point where you said, we have to have this amount of traffic in order to sell ads?
No, actually, our advertisers don't care. Like, anything in the thousands is impressive. Again, the CPM is completely foreign territory. It's not on the radar. So if I give them my circ, but then I really do focus on clicks, actually. I say, okay, this ad that you had up for a month had 50 clicks. And they say, oh, that's pretty good, okay. And then I say, did anybody respond to the ad? Did you get a response? Because that actually deflects from the whole CPM click. Did the ad work? That question really endears me to advertisers. They start advertising with me because they know I actually want the ad to work, which is true. And I've lost advertisers before I figured out that I needed to ask them that question, where I just sold them the ad and then left it up there and it didn't seem to work for them. They didn't have the emotional feeling of it working. So it's this completely non-objective, ethereal relationship that is a relationship. And so the numbers don't matter in a very basic sense, even with the larger businesses that have marketing departments. They're like, yeah, sure, you're nothing. Like, I do Google ads, but I'll do this for goodwill.
Great, thank you.